Hello all, and welcome to another edition of Yachts Tutorials. This tutorial will be on how to find and build a mineral or gas hotspot. We're going to pretend that this is going to be a gold hotspot, but I'm just going to build on the first hotspot I see. First of all, you'll need the components. I'm going to call my freighter so that I can use the supplies from it. FYI, if you didn't know, if you build your storage boxes on your freighter and install the matter beam on your freighter, then as long as the freighter is in the same system you are, you can use the supplies that are on your freighter and in those boxes anywhere in the system, on the planet, in space, in the space station, or elsewhere. Okay, so the first thing you will need, I already have it, but I'll show you where it is from the multi-tool dealer. He is the second dealer on the right as you enter the room. And what you're looking for is the survey device. Is the one furthest on the right below waveform recycler. So if you haven't bought it yet, you'll probably have to buy waveform recycler to use it, but I've never actually needed the waveform recycler, so just buy it to get it out of the way. It takes a few nanites. So buy and install the survey device. Then come over here to the what I call the build terminal, construction research station, and go to the industrial modules and basically buy everything in this section. All of the mineral and gas extractors, supply depots, supply pipes, batteries, solar power, etc. Electromagnetic generators, all of that. You can hold off on all the wall switches and buttons and etc. until later, but all of the stuff on the left. You'll need salvage data for that. Then back out, and with the survey device installed, I'm going to assume you've done that. That was a pretty living ship in front of me. Just head for the planet. Okay, so once you are on the planet, go into Analysis Visor mode and switch over to the one that looks like a pickaxe. Now, I've got a upgrade installed, a mod, because I'm on PC, it allows me to install mods. So I've got a mod installed that allows me to increase the distance that I'm able to scan for. So I'm able to see that that's 550 units away. But I believe for most people, the distance you can see is 300 units away. So normally you wouldn't be able to see that. But what you would be able to notice is that those pippers on either side would be blinking, and you would hear a noise in one ear or the other that changes from that sort of solid tone when you're looking right at it to a different tone that comes out of one ear or the other until you're right on it. If you can't hear that or see that, it means you're so far away from the nearest hotspot that your scanner can't even find it. So I know it's that direction, so I head that way. Still 100 units that direction. And it's going to be straight up that dang mountain, so up we go. And as I said in a previous video, the class of the hotspot doesn't really matter to me unless you're building a mega farm, a mega mineral or gas hotspot farm. It doesn't really matter. So what you do once you find it is you walk towards the hotspot until you see that number sort of max out. Right there is where it is. So I'm going to pretend that's a gold hotspot. So what I do is I take a save beacon and I color it yellow, like this, and I place it right there at my feet where I know the center of the hotspot is. Then I switch to electrical survey mode. It's so far away that you can't hear the noise, but the pippers are still going if you're paying attention. So that's something you have to pay attention to. And I'm actually going to call my exocraft so I can go around this dang mountain or up over right over the top of it. It's one of the things I love about the hovercraft is it doesn't really care about mountains. I know it's about 700 units away, so I give it about a 10 count, and I scan again. $330 in that direction, probably down there about where that lake is. Far side of the lake. Figures. Figures it would be out in the water. So again, just go out. Until the numbers max out. And then I put a save beacon down, right below me. Now, where did the yellow save beacon go? It is that direction. By how far? 736 units. So here's where it gets a little bit tricky. The radius of your base computer is 300 units normally, which means we need to go towards that base computer, go towards that save beacon about halfway. $397, $376. I wanted one of them to be under 300. So I prefer to have the mineral hotspot to be the shorter distance. So I go this direction. And there we go. 280, close enough. So once I've done that, I place a base computer and I claim it. Claim the base computer. Normally I would call this gold if it were a real gold farm. I name it like so. Now, I now know that the gold hotspot is that direction by a little under 300 meters, and the electrical hotspot is that direction by a little over nearly 500. So what I want to do is I want to run this direction until I'm just inside that 300 unit limit. $270. I'm going a little further because I want to demonstrate what happens. $303, so that should demonstrate. If you notice, I'm outside the 300 unit limit and I don't have build permission. If I run back towards that build computer though, I'm now inside the build permission. 293. And there are your build permissions back. What you want to do then is take apart. I like the thin timber walls because they're cheap to make. All they take is a little bit of carbon. Place one behind you, and then turn around towards the part that is furthest away, towards this point that is furthest away that you're trying to stretch to. I've made a video in the past about how to stretch your base perimeter. This is how you do it. You go towards the point you're trying to stretch to, and you build a part every 50 units or so. I say or so. I drop it a little less than that. I actually want to go past that a little bit so that I make sure I'm establishing the permissions. And if you notice, I come out here to my save beacon, which I placed way out here in the middle of the water. And if I look back, actually I'm going to go to the shore where it's easier to look around. If I look back at my base computer, I am 467 units away. But I still have base permission, so I can build. Here is how you build the electrical portion. You start with a wall. You build it right next to, with a little bit of a gap, half a floor width gap between the save beacon and the wall, so that when you build the floor above it, the center of the floor is pretty much right above the save beacon that you just dropped. Put another floor in front of it, like so. Run a wire from the center of the first floor to the center of the second floor. Then grab your electromagnetic generator, and as I discussed in my previous video on blender glitching, 7 electromagnetic generators. 1, 2, 3. The third one didn't place. You saw it go crooked. Go back to the menu and choose it again. 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 didn't place. 6 still didn't place. And 7. Then a battery on the other end. Now, electromagnetic generators produce power all the time, but batteries have a secondary function, and I'll show you that in a moment. Once you've got the battery, wire the electrical node of the battery to the electrical node of the electromagnetic generators. Now, here is where the battery comes in handy. If you look at the electromagnetic generators, notice it says 146, 147, 148. But there's a whole stack of them there, so that's an illusory number. If you access the battery, it'll tell you that the grid power being produced is actually 1029. That's for all of them. The amount you need to power 16 mineral or gas extractors is a little over 800. I say a little over 800 because we're going to be putting on a teleporter, otherwise I sometimes call it a Stargate, on the base platform as well. So that's how you tell what the power is. I then take a wire, connect it to the other side of the battery, and then I run it from the top of each wall in build camera mode. When you connect it to the top of the wall, you just connect another wire to the tip of it. Dropped myself out of build camera mode by accident. And I'm going to stop right there while I run my way up, or should I say drive my way up. To the top of the mountain. Where I can continue stretching the wire. The wire will only stretch 200 units at a time. By this point, I don't really care as much about wall placement. I just drop it on the ground, and you will notice it's still green. When it's up in the air, it's red, but when it's on the ground, it's green. What you want to worry about is when you drop it on the ground and it turns red. I'll show you that in a minute. Oh, something dropped me out of build camera mode. Okay. I'll fix that. I'll be lazy and sit down. When I hit the build limit, I just double tap the build button, which drops me out of build camera mode momentarily at the limit and resets my build permission right there, or build limit right there. Now you'll notice that the line is red and the thing says connection too long. So I just back it up a little until the line turns green, drop it on the ground, and connect a new length right there. I drop the next one right next to the base computer so I know where to find it. And on to the base computer. Drop my chair on the ground so I sit down on it. If you're sitting down on a chair, passing animals, other players, etc. won't knock you out of build camera mode when they pass by. Simple trick to keep you from getting knocked out of build camera mode. Grab another wire. And where is it? There it is. I head that direction. I'm going to go around the mountain. I'm going to put one right there. Where did my yellow save beacon go? Down there on the ground. Connection too long. And this time I'm going to drop it right next to the save beacon, again, so that I know where to find it. Pick up the chair, get in the car, and head over the mountain. Okay, there's the save beacon. Same basic concept. I want to be standing over here out of the way. My wire is red. I seem to have lost connection somewhere. I'll have to figure that out in a few minutes. Okay, so same basic concept. I want to take a wall, place it half a floor width away from the save beacon. This time I'm going to build a couple of floor levels up, because I'll explain in a moment. This floor pattern, this floor platform, is actually going to be 3 by 3, and if I built it right there, it would go into the mountain basically, and the mountain would end up covering it up at some point, and I don't want that. Then I take a wire, and from the center point of that that last piece, like so, on all 4 corners, that last section. This is why I like the alloy floors, because they have this nice pattern on them that you can follow for drawing squares and things like that. You want to come in from the edges, and there's a reason for that. I'll show you in a moment. Then you go, since this is going to be a mineral farm, you use a mineral extractor. And this is why the direction of the wire is important. When you place those mineral extractors, 2, 3, 4 extractors per channel, and I'll explain that in a moment. You will notice that the mouth, so to speak, of the extractor is facing out this direction. That's exactly what you want. So you want 4 per channel. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you go and choose your supply depots, And for a gas hotspot, for a gold hotspot, I would normally do 20 per corner. And I'll explain why in a moment. But I'm only going to do 2 per corner here. 1 if it does crooked or doesn't place. Just choose the part again. Still didn't place. There's 1, 2. There's 1 and 2. There's 1 and 2. One and 2. Okay, so then you go to your supply depots and you connect them from one stack of extractors in an X pattern to one stack of supply depots, so that none of them cross each other. This prevents something called diminishing returns. If any of those pipes were to cross or come near each other or connect to each other, then they would consider themselves part of the same circuit. And the game has sort of nerfed itself in that once you get to approximately 1,000 units per, I believe it's per hour, it stops producing much more than that. It levels off at 1,000 basically. So 4 extractors produces about 1,000, and then 20 supply depots stores enough for you to produce 20,000 units per stack of supply depots in a 24-hour period. So 4 supply depot stacks is 80,000 units of gold per 24-hour period. In a footprint that is no bigger than that. That's all there is to it. I'm not going to bother wiring it up or figuring out why it didn't work. Normally, what I would do is I would go back and drag the base computer over to this platform somewhere, extend the platform out and put a landing pad on it, and I'll go into how to make a landing pad that's actually a short distance below the floor level, so that it is not visible from above the floor in a later tutorial. But this whole thing is actually extended above the ground, so that so this thing would actually be out over the cliffside. So that's the end of this tutorial. Have a wonderful night.